Well, again, I would like to say that I'm Sharon Knight, and I am President and CEO of Hope Communities, and I am just checking in on you. So, if you don't know what Hope Communities is, we are a nonprofit organization that has housing across Denver. We have Hidden Brook Apartments in East Colfax, The Gardens in Northeast Park Hill, Carrollton Arms and Welton Homes at the Point in Five Points. And in addition to housing, we provide, or typically provide, an array of programming for adults and families, after school programs for kids, resource navigation, and a lot of activities for the residents who live on our property, but also the broader community. Because from the beginning of time for our organization, which was 40 years ago, part of our mission has always been to build community. And so, in a time like this, when we have a pandemic and people are on quarantine across the city, we thought it was more important than ever to check in with you and realize that you, our community, might feel isolated and alone. And we don't want you to feel that way. We want you to know that we're there for you and we will provide information, comfort, resources as much as possible. It's going to be a difficult time for some of us, and we want to be there for you. So, Hope Communities serves about 1,100 people a year. And we think that the work that we do is so integral all the time to building community, but particularly now. And so one of the things we also do is that we ask for feedback from the community on a regular basis, the people who live on our properties and the people who live in the area, to help us design our programs and to design the types of services that we provide. And I guess this is this is going to be needed more now than ever. So we're setting up this live program so that you can not only get information from us, but you can also provide information to us. So this format of Facebook Live allows you to hear what I'm saying, but it also allows people to comment as the show is going on. And so one thing that we can do right here at the very beginning is if you will look for the comment section that's on this page and just simply write, "Hi, this is Jamie," or "This is Sharon." Kind of sign in so I know that people are there watching us. And then if later on in the show you have some questions or some comments, you can also write them there. They'll be captured for us to use in the future, or if I can respond immediately, I will. So if you can, some of you sign in now so that I can see that this chat feature is really working. Hi, Tom. I'm glad you came back. Tom was here the last time we did this Facebook Live section. Really nice to see you, or to at least see your name there. So I'm glad that we can connect in this way. Well, I will let other people continue to sign in, but I'll just go on to talk about the fact that every time that I come in for this show, I will give you up-to-date information about the virus. I will list some resources that are available to you in the community to help you through this time. Hopefully we'll have some inspirational stories. We'll have some maybe activities that you can engage in during this time. And then there's that opportunity for comments. Hi, Gwen, you joined. Nice to see you or hear from you. So one of the things I did last time was that I had a couple of book reviews, and I will be doing that too. But like we are keen on, I would like to get other people's opinions on books. And so I've been asking some friends in the community if they will offer a book summary themselves and do a really quick video that we can share with people on this program. So if you have a book that you like, that you think other people would like during this time when you have a little bit more time to read and catch up on things, then reach out to me and ask me about it. And if you need help doing a quick little video or something, then we can try to help you with that. And if you can't do a video but you want to offer a book, send that too, and then we'll try to get some information on that ourselves. So I also, during this time, like to give a little bit of an inspirational quote. So I am going to read this quote that is from Michelle Obama. She said, "You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all of the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance that you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own." So isn't that pertinent for today? And I think that every single person in their own way can make a difference on the state of our community and how well we contain this virus. I think every single person can also make a difference on how people around you feel during this time, or if they feel alone, if they feel isolated and don't have information. And so all of us can do a little bit to help out right now, maybe in ways that we've never done before. So consider that. Consider how you can help. And one of the things, of course, that we all have to do during this time is to take a lot of precautions around the virus. And so we know that there's a lot of everyday things that we can do. For instance, having the social distancing of 6 feet or more when we are in public. Now, a lot of people are working from home because of that social distancing. I am in my office because we are an essential service, and I also am pretty isolated in here, and I'm very, very, very careful that I really clean and do all of the different steps that we're going to talk about, because I need to stay healthy so that I can help everyone else to stay healthy. So a lot of frequent hand washing and 20 seconds. As a mother, I will say, I've seen this before, a little brush with water under the faucet is not enough. We need to actually like really scrub all over your hands, inside the fingers, fingernails. I mean, all of those things have to be cleaned to make sure that we're sanitized and that we aren't spreading viruses. Also to clean all of our surfaces. I did this the other day, so please forgive me, Tom, if you've seen this before. But, you know, using our Lysol wipes, if you have them, is great. But you can also use just good detergent or soap and water to clean off the surfaces that you are around, that you touch. If you don't have soap, having some of the sanitizers are good. And, you know, it's hard right now to find sanitizers, but we've actually been lucky, and I know some other people, you can reach out yourself and get this. We had a brewery, for instance, who's making hand sanitizer, give us some little bottles of sanitizer. So there's stuff out there for you. You might have to take a few extra steps to get it, but it can be available for you. Of course, if you are sick, please stay home. If your kids are sick, please stay home. If you're not sick and you're at home, try to just take care of yourself. I mean, it's going to be a stressful time. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, eat healthy, hydrate, have really good fluids that you're drinking all of the time. Maybe exercise. There's lots of things that you could do in your house, even though you can't go to the gym. And if you're able, if you can get out every once in a while to walk outside at a distance, of course, it's really great for you. It's exercise, and it's also stress relieving. So hopefully you can do that. Now, I just saw also that, you know, a lot of people are ordering things in rather than going to the store or going to a restaurant, and that we really need to clean the packaging that our things come in as well. So consider that. I know it seems over the top, but at this particular time, being over the top is something that is okay. You really want to do that because we've got to self-contain this virus. In our apartment buildings, or wherever you are in an apartment building, you know, if you're going to be outside, I would just take extra precaution with not touching railings if possible. If you're in an elevator, to not be touching the elevator very much, or to have a wipe with you, even after you press a button or something like that. When you're living with other people around, it's a little bit more challenging to keep every surface clean, but try to stay away from those surfaces as much as possible and clean when you've been there. And at least when I've been on the properties lately, I was at Hidden Brook yesterday, for instance, the residents there are being very respectful. They are keeping their distances. There's not a lot of traffic out in the hallways or on the streets. So if you go out, I think you should be fine to be able to keep the distance that you need to. And sometimes it's just good to get out of the house. So some of the other things, early on when we talked about social distancing, we said that you could bump elbows instead. That's not going to work really when we're 6 feet apart. So the other day I was asking for suggestions, and Tom suggested even that, if we're walking by somebody that we don't know that well, that even like a salute or a little bow would work well. When I was talking with somebody at Hidden Brook yesterday, actually, we talked about for those people that you know more that you want to give a hug to or something like that, that even one of those gestures that's pretty common all over the world, actually, with like doing something like that. I mean, it definitely shows respect. It shows that you care about people. But instead of even the elbow bump, I might suggest something further away like that. And always a smile helps. I mean, especially if people are feeling alone and isolated, and when you walk down the street, if you kind of go to the outside of the sidewalk or into the street to get away from people, having a little smile goes a long way to helping them feel like it's not about them, it's not against them. So just really be kind, I think, at this time more than ever. Kids apparently are still congregating too much. So we need to help remind people not to be together in groups. And I personally recommend that for your mental health, that you only listen or read or watch the news like once in the morning and once at night, because I have some friends who are mesmerized and watching news all day long, and I can tell you it makes them really stressed out. Try to avoid that if you can. So as I said earlier, coming up, using this time to learn something new about yourself, try to gain a new skill. There's lots of different programs online where you can actually take classes and so forth, or try to read. I think that there's a ton of books out there. The book that I'm going to talk about today, and I've been talking about Colorado authors, the book I'm going to talk about today is Our Souls at Night. Kent Harif is a Coloradan. He was born in Pueblo, and he usually writes in a setting of a really small Colorado town. In this case, it's Holt, Colorado, which I'm not even quite sure is a real town, but it is fixed in Colorado. And the book features two older folks, a woman and a man, as the primary characters, and their spouses have died a while ago, and they're lonely. So they are feeling isolated, they are feeling lonely, like many of us are now, and they reach out and develop a friendship that's unexpected, and of course everybody in town knows about it, but it's an interesting story. It's a light read, and if you don't have the book, you can, I'm sure, download it from the Denver Public Library. If you don't know, they do allow you to download books. So if you have a library card, you can probably do that pretty quickly. If you don't have a card, you can apply online. And I just think it might be a fun read for you. And if you don't have books at home and you don't have the capacity to download something from the library, another thing that you could do is that I use bookbub.com as an application, and you can go online and you can say what kind of books you like to read, and then they will send you an email every day with books for you to download. Some of them are for free and some are for low cost, but it's a really cool application because you hardly even need to think about it, and you can download it to your Kindle or your phone or whatever. So One of the things we're going to do, as I said, is to ask other people to review books. So keep that in mind too, because we'd love to know what you want to know and what you want to hear about. So one of the things that I just heard today, which is kind of a rumor about the situation with the stay-at-home order, is that someone told me that the police were going to be giving out tickets for people being out past 5 o'clock, that there was a curfew issued, and I checked into that. That is not true. Of course, the mayor has suggested that people stay home and has really said that non-essential businesses should close. It's a really serious thing. We want to keep our distance, but they are not giving out tickets for that purpose. And if you are an essential business and you need to be out in town for essential business, then I think know that there could be some scamming going on. That is one of those untruths that you don't have to worry about. So let me get to a little bit something more serious. In the last few days, we've heard from more people who have lost their jobs, and they're wondering what can they do about that. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. One of them is unemployment. So on Friday, the federal government released a package, a financial relief package that includes increased unemployment benefits for people. And I just also heard today that there are some people who don't really understand the concept of unemployment. They've always been people who are hardworking, and if they lost a job, they just quickly went and got another job and have never even thought about the concept of unemployment. So when you are working at a job, your employer actually pays into a system that provides unemployment should someone lose their job at no fault of their own. So if you have been steadily working and your employer has been making these contributions, and you cannot work now because you are quarantined at home, or you're sick because you're sick, or someone else is sick, or your business has closed, then you have probably the option of going after unemployment. There are certain things that you'll be checked for. If you will have had to make more than $2,500 in the last couple of quarters, you should be working less than 32 hours a week now. You need to be ready and able to work if a job became available. But if you get unemployment, that provides a steady income to you. Typically, unemployment is not as much as you make on a regular weekly basis. But with this new relief fund, they are adding extra money on top of what you already would have gotten. So if you are eligible for unemployment, and let's pretend that the amount that you got would have been $400 a week, they're saying that people can get up to $600 a week more because of this situation. So everything is within reason, and I'm sure it's very personalized, but you have an option to get some of that money if you meet all those criteria, and it will certainly help you out through this period. Now, there is a website to apply to. It is Colorado UI, as in unemploymentinsurance.gov, coloradoui.gov. And you can go on and apply onto that website and apply online. You'll have to enter a lot of information about the job that you lost and your wages and things like that, and your readiness to work. But then the system will process your application and let you know if you're eligible, and if you are, how much you could be getting for unemployment. There is another website that you'll have to sign up for work for. So you put down your skills, and they reach out and let you know if there are jobs available, and you need to be, of course, willing to work if that becomes available to you. But it's a very, very nice benefit that you get as a result of being an employee here. Now, if you have never done it before and you think it's very strange and you don't want to be alone in this, the week ending March 21st, there were about 20,000 people in Colorado who applied for this. And last week, there were about 60,000 people in Colorado who applied for this. So whether you have used unemployment in the past or not, you are not alone. There's a lot of people right now who might need some support, whether it's employment support, food support, utility support, that have never needed it before. So please, if this is happening to you, don't take it personally. I know it's hard, but don't take it personally, because it's just, this is something that is happening to many people. And I'm sure that most people that are experiencing this feel like it's completely out of their control, and essentially it is. So we're going to let you know some of the resources that you can go after to get, so that we can help you through. So another thing people are really asking us about is rent. You know, if I don't have a job, how am I going to pay my rent? And there's some information out there that some of it is true and some of it not. If you live in Denver, the mayor has asked that the sheriffs not enforce evictions. So oftentimes, if you cannot pay your rent, people have experienced being evicted from their apartments. There's a moratorium on the sheriffs helping that to happen, and the eviction judges are also not working on that. At Hope Communities, we made a commitment to not only not evict people for lack of payment, but not to start the process of that. So you don't want to be in the queue for later on to be evicted either. And we know that if people lose their jobs because of the virus, you have no control over it. So our property staff will work with you if you are in that situation. If you've lost your job, many people have gotten a letter from their employer. You need to share that letter or the circumstances that brought you to this place with our property staff, and they will work with you to set up a plan so that you can make payments towards that that final rent, whatever that amount would be, so that you are not ending up with unmanageable debt. They're also going to forward you to our program staff, who will help you identifying all of the resources out there that can provide emergency rent. There are several agencies. TRUA, Temporary Rent and Utility Assistance, for instance, is a group that provides emergency rent upon application. There are other nonprofits, and even internally, we've been applying to some foundations and some donor advised funds to get some emergency rent assistance. And we're really grateful that we've gotten some of that money, a little bit of that money, to also help. So lots of resources to you or for you. You will also be asked by our staff to apply for unemployment, or if we have almost nobody at Hope Communities that has subsidized housing, but if you do have subsidized housing and you lose your income, you can ask to recertify with your new income, which will help you out because the portion that you pay will be much lower. So when we say affected by the virus, and so you can have plan to pay your rent later on, we mean you are home because you are sick yourself. You are home because someone in your family is sick and you are in quarantine. You have lost your job because your business closed, or if you're doing something that is a service industry, there's just no clients out there. Or your kids are home from school and there is no one else there to watch them because you are the only child care provider and wage earner. So there's lots of different ways that this virus can affect you, and we want to be there to support you in any way we can. So again, this is Sharon Knight from Hope Communities, and anything that I'm talking about should be summarized on our website, which is hopecommunities.org. And there'll be some specific information about rent and utility assistance on there. There'll be also a list of the names of our staff with emails and phone numbers, so you can reach out to them if you have some questions, whether that's property staff or program staff. We know that some of these applications and some of these processes are pretty complicated. I mean, it's not always very easy to work your way through some of these. So please reach out to staff, and they are being very responsive with people to get back to them as soon as possible. There is that emergency rent assistance. There's a little bit of emergency utility assistance out there. And I think you may have heard that the utility companies are not cutting off utilities if people can't pay during this time. It's important to know with rent or utilities or any other bills, though, that if people forgive payment during this time, it does not mean that the debt goes away. And you don't want to end up with a huge debt at the end of this pandemic. You want to try to eke away at those bills as much as possible, whether that is because you're working or because you find emergency assistance for any of those bills. So really think about that. We don't want people's credit scores to be ruined later on, and so many people are working so hard to move forward towards their dreams, and this could really impact them. So let our staff help you with any of these things. Now, food is something that if someone has lost their job is also a concern. I think most of you might know that the schools, the public schools, are providing SAC breakfasts and lunches for kids. And we have a map of where those sites are, because not every school has food distribution, but there are several. I think there are 12 schools across Denver, and there's some across Aurora. There are also these places at rec centers called Tasty Food. Again, those are food items for people who are children through 18. And then there are several food banks and food distribution programs across the city, and we'll try to highlight those as much as possible for people who don't have kids, and or for those who do have kids too. Sometimes you need more than you could get in those other programs that I already mentioned. Hope is doing some food distribution. The key for us is that we need to know that you're in need. So please either talk to one of our resource navigators to let them know that you need some help with some food during this time. Again, even if you've never needed help before, it's okay. We can try to get that for you. You could also send us an email at info@hopecommunities.org. So I'm just going to hold up these two things. One is our website, and one is that email, info@hopecommunities.org. You can use that email to let us know about food, to let us know if you need rent assistance, utility assistance, if there's anything else you need, or if you have questions, use that email and we will get back to you. So a lot of information. I'm going to, another thing that I know is on people's minds, and I had some people at Hidden Brook talk to me about this yesterday. There are people who have gotten their census envelopes. The first time you got a big one like this, I did not fill it out right away. So I got a smaller envelope to remind me to do it, and I absolutely will fill it out. But if you've gotten one of these, you can go online. You'll be given an activation code. So you go online to the website, which is my2020census.gov, and fill out information about your family. Why should you do that? Well, it is of benefit to you in an indirect way, because the number of people that Colorado classifies as individuals living here makes a difference not only on the representatives that we have, or the number of representatives that we have in national government, but it also impacts the resources and the emergency funds that come to this state, because it's all equated by numbers. So if there's an accurate count of how many people live here, we may get more funds to help us through a situation like this in the future, because any of the federal funding will be allocated that way. Somebody yesterday said that they thought that filling out the census would lead to them getting the federal monies that have been talked about. That would be checks to individuals across the country, the $1,200 that many people have heard about. The census does not directly impact those checks. Those checks come from another way, but the census in the long run helps us as a state to have more resources, so it's valuable to have that. I have got a few more minutes, so let me just make sure that everybody out there knows that while many of our offices are closed to foot traffic, our staff is all working, and we are very responsive to resident questions, to people from the community. Everybody is set up at home with computers and cameras and things like that so that they can interact with clients on a one-to-one basis. We are having another navigator who's joining our team on Monday as an interim person. We are super grateful that actually she is not working in her office, and she's going to be helping us with navigation because we've just been flooded with requests for assistance, as you might imagine. We do also have navigators who speak different languages at our Hidden Brook site. Particularly, we have many families for whom English is not their primary language, and so we've got some navigators who will be reaching out to everybody individually. If you haven't gotten a call yet, you will. Our navigators are reaching out to every single resident and every client that we work with regularly just to make sure you're okay, to see if you have any needs, to see if you have any questions. And so be looking for those calls. But I wanted you to know that we are there for you, so we will respond. And on occasion, we will have one-on-one meetings. We will have some food distribution where you might see somebody from the staff, but we are asking that everybody follow the Center for Disease Control standards and keep that social distance. When we are on site, we've got the sanitizer and the wipes like you saw me using before, because we want our staff to be healthy, so we are there in the long run for you, and we want you to be healthy, of course, as well. So we are still responsive. For the maintenance staff, we have always been so quick to respond to any requests that any of our residents have, and at this point, we are asking that we just respond to emergency calls. Just because, again, we want to keep that distancing, we want to keep everybody safe. And we sent out a notice, so I think you know what those emergency calls are and what are not emergency calls. And some of that makes common sense. We may not come in to change a light bulb when you have lots of other lights, but if water is overflowing somewhere, for instance, of course, that's a real emergency. And in some cases, if we have something like if you smell gas, you need to call the utility company, not us, because you need to get out of the apartment and just take care of that yourself. So, we'll have some of this guidance on our website. I hope that you can go to our website and check out all of the information we have there. We've got flyers in different languages there. So anything about the virus, about housing resources, about food and so forth, we should be able to get that information to you in your native language. My time has run out. It's been really great to touch base with you. Thanks for joining, Jamie and John. So let us know if you have any more questions, and if you want to do one of the book reviews for us, and I will check in again on Friday. Thanks, and have a good couple of days. Bye.